Another cold day up here in the northeast, in the Finger Lakes. This tomorrow is supposed to get lake effect starting in the afternoon, so it's going to get cold and nasty. I've got a lot of work to do in the barn yet, but got chores done. I'm gonna I gotta go down and get some kerosene. And I want to put the hooves on some of the boats this afternoon if I can find my clippers, and I don't know where I get what I've done with them. The truck is so packed with farm junk now, it could be in here. So I gotta look around. That's just the life of a farm truck. It's become that. So many of you are probably thinking, oh man, this guy's crazy. You know, when I was driving a truck, you don't think about all the things. Just like many of you are not thinking of the things that you eat. You know, you think it's all safe and it's all good. I didn't think about this until I started actually YouTube. I started watching other practices and farmers, and you know, I wanted to see how they were farming and what was going on in the community so I could learn. But what I've learned, and it's not all bad, but what I've really found that's touched my heart the most is our chemicals that we use. I'm sorry that I'm preaching on it, but I'm telling you, you got to be aware of what's going on. I've watched countless farm episodes on YouTube, and most of them, you know, they're great farmers, but they just don't. Either they're not really just paying attention, or they don't want to know. They're just farming and they're just going about their business because you know, this is the best way to farm it, to grow crop, to get a great big yield out of their crop. And it's been pushed on to these farmers. You go back into the 60s and 70s, and you know, you could go way back if you wanted to. But when I was growing up, you know, there was no big weed killer company out there yet. You know, they came about because of science and like I said in a previous video, we always have to evolve. We're always evolving into making things. We think we're making things better, but are we? And that's just the key. Are we? Are we making things better? Or are we just ruining the things that we do and the things that we grow in our world? I don't know. I'm not sure anymore. I've come to the conclusion now where I know that as in my farming life, the one that I know of now, in my life now, I'm not going to be spraying herbicides on my crop. You look at the number of cases that are just going around this country alone of lawsuits and studies. If they have to actually study it all the time, then there's something wrong with it in the first place. You know, it doesn't take that long to know that this is not going to hurt you. But when there's study after study after study, then you know it's something that can cause harm, not only to the plants, but also to animals, and then on to us as humans. We are the ones that are susceptible too. Chemical companies have made big studies, and they have pushed their product so that they can sell it to these farmers, and they make millions of dollars. And some of these chemicals, yes, they actually make the crop bigger and they yield more. Yeah, I know, I get it all. Some of the northern farmers, without glyphosate, which is in one of the bigger known herbicide companies. I'm not going to mention their name because it's just, I'm not doing that because I don't want nothing to happen. Glyphosate is in this product. It's a herbicide, and it is it's a leading chemical that can harm us, and it can harm animals. Atrazine, for example, here in the United States is widely used. They banned it for a while, but then they brought it back. The EPA did say, okay, it's okay. But they said it breaks down quickly in the soil, but it lingers in the water supply. And they said 90% of our water supply has atrazine in it. 90%. And in Europe, they're banning all this stuff. They're banning glyphosate and many other herbicides because they're saying, hey man, this stuff isn't any good for the human body. It isn't any good for the land, and it isn't any good for our animals. The farmers here are saying, hey, without these products, there isn't any ulterior motive or ulterior way to farm without these helping hands that kill weeds and help our crop grow better. But whose responsibility is it? Farmers are saying it's us farmers are saying it's our responsibility to feed the world. But it's not our responsibility to hurt the earth and to hurt ourselves with these chemicals that we're spraying on the land. It's not our responsibility to do that. I think it's our responsibility to feed what you can. These farms have gotten so big, that's what they're doing, and they can't find help, so they spray and spray and spray instead of cultivating, which is not a good practice anymore for them because, you have to run your tractors around in the field and you cultivate, you still don't get all the weeds. Well, that's just life, in my opinion. That's the way it is. You grow your corn, you take your chances in your soybeans and your corn and your hay, and you grow what you can, and you feed what you can. One farmer said, well, there's millions of acres that is undeveloped in the world, but can we develop it fast enough to help feed our growing population? Why not? Yes, you can. You get out there. I'm going to harp on this because it is a passion of mine too. It's not just about being a good citizen, a farmer. It's about doing the right thing. I'll tell you what you should be doing. We all should be doing. All right? One of the people that wrote an article about these herbicides said that he does, what he does, he has a big backyard and he grows his vegetables there. Because then he said, I know what I'm putting on that crop. I'm not spraying it with herbicides. So drive around your neighborhood and look at your neighborhood and everybody's got this huge backyard. Then there's this plot of land that's just sitting there in weeds. Have the community develop it into a farm plot where people can go in there and grow vegetables. Down in the southern tier in Binghamton, right off of 81, there's a park. If you come up 81 and you're going north, you go through the city of Binghamton, and after what is that, 86 now, used to be 17, it splits and 81 north goes. Right in that park, they allow people to grow their own gardens. Yeah. Take your little tractor that you have, get a little rototiller, and, you know, create your own garden. You'll love the idea that you grew your own crop and how good it tastes. You don't have to throw, and you can just get out there and, you know, after your job, you don't have to become a big farmer. Just do a little crop, grow some tomatoes, and grow some carrots and tomatoes and squash. Do it yourself. And stop relying so much on these guys who are always crying, well, we need to make our yield better so we can feed the world. Well, start helping yourselves too a little bit. That's where it would start. If you could just start feeding yourself some. And then it would take so much pressure off all the huge corporate farms who don't have the help anymore. And this is why they're spraying all this herbicide on their crop, because they believe that they need to feed the world. So grow some of it yourself. It's fun. You know, grow a row of corn and then, you know, put the scarecrows up so that the corn grows and it doesn't get eaten by the deer and stuff. You know, it's just things that you can do for yourself. You know, as growing up, there was a lot of little farms, and we all lived off these farms. We had chickens and we had pigs and stuff, and we grew our own stuff. And some of the neighbors would come by and you'd sell them a pig. You know, we had a big garden. We fed our whole family off that garden, and potatoes and apples and everything, and we didn't spray all these things with herbicides. You know, we took our time and we hoed the garden, and we watered it, and the land grew good, nice crop for us. And the land can still do that. It's just that, you know, it's becoming where the farmers have been duped into saying, hey man, we got to buy all this stuff to put on our crops. And it goes on, because think about it. They have to spend thousands of dollars on these chemicals to spray on their crops. So if these crops don't produce a big yield, then all that money is lost. And so may be their career in farming. Scale back some, farmers. You know, you got to stop using so many chemicals. It's just the way it is. And if you did that, a lot of the people would say, hey man, I got to grow a garden because you know what, I have to. And that's the way it should be. You know, people way back, man, they had gardens because they grew a lot of their own stuff. They helped the neighborhood a little bit. And that's what it should be again. And it would help. And stop using so many, because you think about all the chemicals that are going into your body. You think that I'm lying, but there is study after study. You know, like I said, atrazine's been banned, and all these glyphosate. Even part of Canada is starting to ban it. In Ontario, Canada banned it for home use already. And that's a big part of the big corporation. there's all sorts of this chemical that they're spraying in the ground in California, highly used. It's a gas. I couldn't even pronounce it. Dichloroprophene is one of the most heavily used pesticides in California. It's also known as talone. It's a gas and it is a pesticide, and the growers are using it to sterilize their soil in California before they plant. But this gas escapes, gets into the neighborhoods. The European community is phasing that right out. You know, that's done already by now. China is banning paraquat. It's a pesticide linked to Parkinson's disease. You know, there are this one neonics. It's short for neonicotinoid, something like that. And it's linked to this mysterious mass disappearance of entire bee colonies. Now, I heard a farmer saying, well, you know, that's not the truth, you know, but it is. It has killed bees. And he admitted it killed bees, but he's saying that they put it on their seed before they plant it, and that goes in the ground, and it helps to keep the bugs off of it if the ground is wet and cold and the seed does not germinate. I don't know. The United States has done even a study on that. And I don't know. These are things that you got to look at. You know, is it really useful? Are these farmers just being brainwashed into using these crops because this big chemical company is saying this is what you got to do to create bigger crops? All right, GMOs. I used to think, okay, GMOs, you know, they're genetically modified organisms. But, you know, okay, it's not the problem, you think, you know, it's just a seed. But these seeds are doused with, well, you know, one chemical, which is a big company again, with glyphosate on it. And it's put into these seeds so that they can they're genetically made to have these chemicals in it so they grow better. They're already genetically modified with you know, glyphosate in it. It's put in there into these seeds. There's a lot of studies that no one can be conclusive on. You can be on the side of GMOs. You can be saying, hey, you know, these herbicides we put on, they have to be sprayed so we don't have weeds. But if you all just started growing some of your own crop, you know, you could take away some of the pressure on the big farms. And they don't have to, you know, do these burn downs in the end and spray all their crops with glyphosate so that they can combine or just harvest their crop before it's time because their soil's wet. They burn them down, they call it, with this spray. And then the crop dries out and they can harvest. And that's a herbicide. And that's just before they harvest it. And they spray that herbicide on there to burn them down so they can harvest it. And that residual stuff is still on that seed and still on that plant and going right to a manufacturer, to a granary. You can say all you want. Oh no, it's all washed off. No, it isn't. It's not. It's not all washed off. They have found chemicals in people of these kind of magnitudes because it slowly builds in your colon, these chemicals. And they are slowly but surely getting into our systems and killing us. You may say no, it's not, but it is. It is. It's going right into your system. So grow your own crops. It's the best way I can say to you to get away from not knowing what is coming from the store. You don't know what they're buying. They're buying these potatoes, they're buying these carrots, they're buying tomatoes and all sorts of grains that are coming from it. You know, you have to buy cereal, but that's all been genetically modified. Most of our grains have been genetically modified, and they've all been sprayed multiple times. Multiple times. Not just in the beginning when they seed, but then it gets sprayed again, and then it gets sprayed again. And if it's not dry enough in the end, they spray it to burn it down, and it's sprayed again. It's just, how much, you know, I think I've seen the guy around here, he's out here all the frickin' time with his sprayer up and down the field. Spraying the corn, spraying the hay, spraying the beans. Just running up and down the road all summer long. And you go down to where he sits down here, and you look at the truck that's sitting next to where he's loading, and there's big signs on there. Danger. Do I have to say anything more? If that says danger on it, you're drinking it? You're going to eat it? You are.